molecular transfer rays, causing me and my car to become one. The incredible Turbo Teen!
A teen who turns into a car when he gets hot? Yeah, that happened, and we couldn't get enough of it. In an era before focus groups, this bizarre body horror somehow made it past network executives, and we loved every minute of it. Now, if you grew up in the 80s, Saturday morning cartoons were sacred. We had sugary cereal, bad hair, and cartoons that were as wild as our imaginations. In this video, we're diving into 10 forgotten Saturday morning cartoons that only Gen X warriors truly remember. And trust me, these picks go way beyond Transformers and ThunderCats. Smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss our weekly nostalgic deep dives. And stick around till the end to find out which forgotten cartoon featured someone who later became an Oscar-winning director, and which one had every little girl glued to their tube TV screen. Alright, you guys ready to feel totally outrageous again? Let's go. Starting our countdown at number 10, we have Turbo Teen, a teenager who, get this, transformed into a red sports car when he got hot from either heat or stress. He actually became a car, folks. Brett Matthews crashed into a secret government lab during a storm and accidentally got merged with his car by an experimental ray machine. After that, whenever Brett got hot, he'd transform into a red sports car. Cold temperatures would turn him human again. He, his girlfriend Patty, his buddy Alex, and his dog Rusty would fight crime while looking for a cure. The transformation sequences were pure nightmare fuel. Brett's face morphing into a car hood, limbs retracting, and tires popping out. The animator showed every excruciating detail of the transformation. His nose would stretch forward to become part of the hood, his eyes would become the headlights, and his skin would turn to metal. It was clearly meant to be cool, but ended up looking like animated Cronenberg for kids.
More human than I am alone.
Watching these transformations was both horrifying and kind of satisfying. The concept was weirdly similar to the Mask toy line that came out the next year, which has led to theories that Turbo Teen might have been a rejected concept for that franchise. Turbo Teen represents the absolute peak of what were they smoking 80s cartoons ideas. From automotive transformations to time-traveling geezers, our next entry takes familiar sitcom characters on a bizarre journey. At number 9 is the Fonz and the Happy Days Gang. Someone actually pitched, let's take characters from that wholesome 50s sitcom and make them time travelers, and network execs were like, yeah, that's brilliant. The cartoon featured Fonzie, Richie Cunningham, and Ralph Malph from Happy Days, along with Fonzie's dog, Mr. Cool, who wasn't in the original show, and a random future woman named Cupcake. They all traveled through time trying to get back to 1957 Milwaukee, landing in a new historical period each episode.
Oh, there goes that theory, Red.
You will come with us.
This bizarre concept came about because by 1980, Happy Days was still on TV but beginning to lose its cultural momentum. ABC wanted to capitalize on the Fonzie phenomenon while it was still hot, and apparently time travel seemed like the way to go. Hilariously, this cartoon actually premiered 5 years before Back to the Future hit theaters. Now here's the funny part. Henry Winkler, Ron Howard, and Donnie Most didn't even voice their cartoon versions, but Cupcake was voiced by Didi Khan from Grease. The show is burned into our brains because it was just so weird. Taking grounded sitcom characters and suddenly giving them a futuristic friend, a talking dog, and a time machine was such a bizarre creative choice that you couldn't forget it even if you tried. Now, from time-traveling sitcom stars to medieval knights, our next entry features warriors with holographic animals. At number 8, we have Visionaries, featuring medieval knights with holographic chest emblems in a world where technology failed and magic took over. Set on the planet Prismos, the three suns align, causing all technology to fail and magic to return. Two groups, the Spectral Knights and the Darkling Lords, are given magical powers by the wizard Merklin. Each character had a unique animal totem that appeared as a hologram on their chest armor and could be summoned to battle. Those action figures with holographic chest plates were some of the most eye-catching toys of 1987. The holographic stickers actually changed appearance when viewed from different angles, which was revolutionary technology for 80s toys. Now, we're going to go from magical knights to superpowered athletes. Our next entry takes sports to absurd new heights. Coming in at number 7 is the Super Globetrotters. Okay, this one technically started in '79, but it aired into the 80s and fits the Saturday morning chaos perfectly, so we're counting it, and this is our list, okay? This series transformed the legendary Harlem Globetrotters into actual superheroes who fought crime. The cartoon took the real-life Globetrotters and gave them superhero alter egos they could transform into by entering magical lockers. Meadowlark became Fluid Man, who could transform into water. Curly became Sphere Man, who could form into a basketball. Twiggy was Spaghetti Man with stretchable limbs. Gip was Multi-Man, who could duplicate himself. And Geese was Super Globetrotter with super strength.
Man, we gotta cool this core before the facelift cools us all. I'm with you.
They'd get assignments from a talking basketball called Crime Globe, and every episode still featured a basketball game where they had to use their powers to win. It's exactly the kind of absurd concept that made Saturday morning so magical. Now we're going to go from basketball superheroes to botanical battles. So let's look at a world where plants become vehicles. At number 6, we've got Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors with possibly the most bonkers villain concept ever. Plant monsters with transforming battle vehicles, and I swear to God I'm not making this up. Jayce was on a quest to find his father Audric, a scientist who accidentally created the monster mines, evil plant creatures under the control of Sawboss, with transforming vehicles for an added thrill. Armed with a magic root, Jayce and his team traveled the galaxy in their own transforming vehicles called Lightning League.
Can't you see that?
I see a marker in the shape of a route that could have been made by those who'd have our lives.
The series never got a proper ending because they planned to wrap everything up in a movie, but the toys didn't sell well enough, so the movie got canceled. We've been left hanging since 1986. Now, I definitely had a couple of those vehicles stashed in my toy box. From galactic plant battles to intergalactic education, our next entry takes ordinary teens to extraordinary schools. At number 5 is Galaxy High, created by Chris Columbus, the same guy who later wrote Home Alone and directed the first 2 Harry Potter films, but not the same guy that discovered America. The show followed 2 Earth teenagers, Doyle and Amy, who were selected to attend an interstellar high school. What made it interesting was the unexpected role reversal. Back on Earth, Doyle was the popular jock while Amy was the studious nobody. But at Galaxy High, Amy's intelligence made her instantly popular, while athletic Doyle struggled to fit in among aliens with 6 arms and telekinetic powers. Galaxy High stood out for its genuinely creative alien designs and imaginative worlds. The school featured bizarre classes like alien communication, where students learned to speak in tentacle movements and telepathy. It was one of the early American cartoons that was clearly influenced by Japanese anime aesthetics with its distinctive character designs and otherworldly settings. Now, if these forgotten gems are bringing back memories, hit that like button and subscribe for more nostalgic deep dives just like this. Now we're going to go to Celebrity Angels instead of Cosmic Classrooms, and our next entry features a pint-sized TV star with heavenly aspirations. At number 4, NBC's The Gary Coleman Show starred an animated version of the Different Strokes star as a guardian angel trying to earn his wings.
I do all the work and that tin-plated trinket gets all the credit. But haggle, that's silly.
Gary played an angel in training named Andy, sent back to Earth to help people solve problems. He was supervised by Angelica, while a mischievous imp named Hornswoggle always tried to mess things up. The show was actually based on a TV movie called The Kid with the Broken Halo. It perfectly captures that weird 80s trend of turning popular TV stars into cartoon characters. Plus, Coleman's famous "What You Talkin' About" catchphrase from Different Strokes made a few appearances, giving his fans a fun nod to his iconic sitcom role. Switching over from heavenly halos to hidden hallways, our next entry reveals a secret world hiding in plain sight. At number 3, it's The Littles, based on a book series about a family of tiny people who live secretly in the walls and floors of human houses. The Littles followed the adventures of, well, the little family, Grandpa, Dinky, Tom, Lucy, and others who had tails like mice. They lived in the house of Henry Big, a 13-year-old boy who discovered them and kept their existence a secret. Each episode involved them either avoiding discovery or going on adventures that seemed epic from their tiny perspective.
Let's make it snappy, you two. Now, who's got the dime?
For many of us, these tiny adventures were shared weekly rituals with siblings or friends. After watching this show, many kids wondered if tiny people lived inside our walls. I vividly remember checking my baseboards for tiny doors all over the place. What's interesting about The Littles is that it actually had some pretty heavy environmental messages for a kids show, with the tiny family often dealing with the consequences of human wastefulness. It perfectly captured that 80s cartoon vibe of a hidden world right under our noses. Switching gears from a miniature family to action-packed gymnastics, our number 2 spot gives us one of the most memorable celebrity cartoons of the decade. At number 2 is Mr. T, and yes, I do mean that Mr. T. The mohawked gold chain wearing star from the A-Team had his own cartoon where he led a gymnastics team that solved mysteries. I pity the fool who doesn't remember this show. In this wild series, the animated Mr. T was the coach of a US gymnastics team that traveled around the world for competitions. But somehow they'd always stumble into mysteries and criminal plots that they'd solve with detective work, gymnastics moves, and Mr. T's incredible strength.
Don't make me laugh.
Each episode ended with a live-action segment where the real Mr. T would deliver a moral lesson directly to kids watching at home. Stay in school, don't do drugs, and drink your milk, fool. Now here's one mind-blowing connection. One of the voice directors was a young Ava DuVernay decades before she became an acclaimed film director. Imagine going from directing Mr. T's animated adventures to being nominated for major film awards and becoming one of the most influential filmmakers of our time. The cartoon version of Mr. T was way gentler than his tough guy A-Team character. He was portrayed as this wise mentor who really cared about kids, which was actually pretty close to the real Mr. T's persona outside of acting. Mr. T personally approved all the scripts to make sure they had positive messages. Mr. T perfectly captures the celebrity cartoon trend of the 80s, where they just take any famous person and give them an animated show. But what made this one special was its genuine earnestness. Mr. T really believed in teaching kids good values, and that sincerity shines through the whole thing. And now finally, we're going to top the list with glitter, glamour, and genuine musical talent. At number 1, we've got Jem and the Holograms. This show was the perfect blend of 80s music culture, sci-fi, and fashion all rolled into one glam rock package. The premise was so 80s it hurts. Jerrica Benton inherited her father's music company, Starlight Music, along with a high-tech computer called Synergy that could project holograms. Using the computer's power, Jerrica could transform into her rock star alter ego, Jem, by touching her star-shaped earrings and saying, "Showtime, Synergy." She and her band, the Holograms, would compete against their rivals, the Misfits, a punk rock group managed by the ruthless Eric Raymond. What made Jem stand out was that each episode featured 3 original music videos. Essentially, it was MTV for kids. These weren't just quick musical interludes, they were fully produced songs with unique animations. The songs were legitimately catchy too. Truly outrageous still get stuck in many fans' heads today, including my own. The show also had complex storylines involving romance, business deals, and even foster care. Saturday mornings watching Jem were special rituals in many households. I've heard stories of siblings fighting over who got to beat Jem when playing afterward. Jem's iconic pink hair and rock star style influenced a generation of kids and continues to inspire fashion, cosplay, and reboots to this day. Jem was truly unique, aimed primarily at girls, but with enough action and adventure to appeal to everyone. It balanced glamour with sci-fi elements and genuinely emotional storylines. And there you have it, 10 cartoon treasures from a time when Saturday mornings were sacred ground, when we'd wake up early for animated insanity, and when our parents were just happy to have us distracted for a few hours. Got a forgotten 80s cartoon that deserves a spot on this list? Drop it in the comments. What was your Saturday morning ritual? Were you a cereal and footy pajamas kid or a blanket fort builder? Let's keep the nostalgia rolling, so hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next trip back in time.